Alright. Oh, good to go, I think. Alright. So, hello. I'm Lastlie. And, this is Try, Friendship and Madness. And, let's just get going, I guess. Go in 3, 2, 1, go! So, right away, gonna skip the whole first level. I just said what's called a save warp. And, basically you mash quick save and quick load, and that'll warp you to a predetermined location in the level. And we think what's happening is that it takes you to the 000 coordinates, but we don't really have a way of knowing. I just did it again, skipped about 30 to 40 seconds of running forward there. So it saves about a minute and a half over the course of the run. Well, the second level is basically just the tutorial, or like the second half of the tutorial. It teaches you, hey, there's an altar, and you need to get the 3 red statues and place the statues on the altar, and that'll open up the portal to get to the next level. Well, there's not really a whole lot other than the save warp at the start. There's not much you can do to speed this level up. It's pretty simple. There is one trick you can do that isn't any faster and is ludicrously hard, so I'm not gonna do it. But yeah, just basic platforming. Nothing much to this level yet. One thing is, if you go through a little crouched hallway like this, you can mash on space to jump, and it moves just a little bit faster. And through that hallway there is the biggest time save for that. And it takes about, or it saves about 3/4 of a second. And that'll happen in a couple other spots, but that's the biggest single time save. And there's a third statue. We just need to get back to the altar and we'll be on our way. And yeah, I've heard a lot from people that this game is really trippy. So get ready, because it gets crazy from here. Alright. Now, start at level 3. There's a jump here that I'm not really expecting to make because it's super hard, but I'm going to go for it anyway. You jump like this. Oh, I missed it. So you jump off the spike on the edge of the railing, one of these things. And if you get it just right, you can jump onto that floating platform and grab the 3rd statue early. It's really hard to do because jumping off those spikes is like very finicky. Because as soon as you jump on it, you pretty much start sliding off. So it's very difficult to find, or difficult to get that jump right. And now we're getting the first piece of the try. This is where this game starts to get interesting. Is now we can make triangles. Like that one. And basically just click 3 times to make 3 points, and it makes a triangle. They can't be too close to each other or too far away. And right now, all we can do is just make ramps and shelves to climb up ledges. But as we go on, we'll get more powers. You'll be able to do a bit more stuff. Alright. Now we just need to go back to the start, get that statue we missed out on. And if we got the jump at the start, there'd be another cool jump we could do at the end here, where you land on one of these floating lanterns and jump off of it. Because when you touch them, they're supposed to break, but if you fall on top of it, you can jump off of it very briefly. And you can do a pretty cool skip to skip running around on some of these steps. There's the altar. Okay, it's good chapter 3. Now this chapter, you're supposed to run forward here and go this way, but instead we're going to go to the left here. And these yellow barriers, you'll see them in some of the levels. That's the one thing in this game that we can't really clip through. But it's okay because most of the barriers aren't that big, so we'll just go around it. That switch lowers the barriers in this level. So I'm going to come over here and grab this first statue. This saves about 10 seconds to come this way, and also it looks about 10 times cooler, so that's the important part. Yeah, it skips mostly just some basic platforming, nothing super interesting to do in that first section of the level. Oh man, we got bad monk RNG. That monk wanders around that area randomly, and sometimes he just gets in your way like that, and I just strafe out of the way. It loses about 1/10 of a second. That's some of the only RNG in the entire run, which is very nice. Alright, and I already have all 3 statues. Just 2 more rooms to get through, and then we're out of here. And this next room is deceptively difficult. It looks really simple, but to do it fast is pretty hard. And if you fall here, it loses about 10 seconds. So you don't really want to fall there. Luckily we didn't. And then a little bit more here. This jump I do, that I almost didn't make, if you fall there, it loses about a minute. So it's totally worth doing. I gotta save 1 second there. On to chapter 5. So this is where we're gonna get the second piece of the try, but first we need to hit a switch to get rid of another yellow barrier. And we could technically clip around the yellow barrier again, but we'd have to do it, I think, like 3 times, so it's not really worth doing. It's just faster to come over and hit the switch. So this second piece of the try is where things start to get crazy, because it lets us walk on the triangles, and we can use that to climb up walls and ceilings. So there's the second part. And when you pick up a try piece, the screen gets all bright and shows the eyes, and it moves down, slows down your mouse movement a lot. So it's like you're moving through molasses. And this is how the wall running works. Just walk on the triangles. As long as you stay on them, your gravity is basically whatever that triangle is instead of on the ground. And you can tell if I can walk on a triangle, because if it's the pink color triangle, I can walk on it. But if it's teal like that one, then it's too steep. There we go. And if it's too steep, you just won't be able to run on it, and you'll just fall off. At the end of this level, there is a clip I can do, but it's actually, unfortunately, a little bit slower than just doing intended strats. That's okay. If I mess up the intended strats, I'll have to do the clip anyway. So maybe we'll get to see it anyway. Just need to get a couple of boxes from over here. And the game doesn't have any combat, but crates are still managed to be your worst enemy. Oh, didn't grab it. There we go. Nice, it landed on the button. Very polite of that box. Throw it on there. Alright. Sometimes that crate will fall off the button, and you can get stuck where the statue is. Before we had found clipping, we thought that was a soft lock, but it ended up that, nah, it's totally fine. You can just clip out through that gate. Alright. Chapter 6, we're going to do another clip right at the start here. And we'll skip the first about third of the level. So, going to this corner, we're going to trap ourselves with one triangle. Remember, the space head is too small for us to exist. And then we make a second triangle to bump us out of bounds. So now, since we can just draw platforms and walk on them, we can go pretty much anywhere we want. And a lot of the levels in this game, it's possible to go out of bounds and then just complete the level without ever going back in bounds. And this is one of those levels I figured that out for. Which it isn't faster to do, but it's a fun exercise. So, that clip saved something like 20 seconds, I think, over doing all the normal stuff. The second section of this level doesn't have really anything speedy to do. You just have to hit the switch and then go and grab the statue. It's not a super interesting part, but it's okay. This is maybe the most boring room in the entire game right here, because you just walk up the wall and grab a statue. But I promise the last third of this level is much better. Alright, second statue and we're out of here. So, on the way out, the game messes with you occasionally. And when we go back through this room, gravity has changed. So, rooms rotate around, but that's okay, because it's actually a lot easier to platform out of here with the gravity this way than it was before. So, that doesn't happen very often through the game, but it does occasionally. And cutting that corner with that jump saves about 1/10 of a second, and if you mess it up, you reset the run because it's just embarrassing. Alright, here's another clip. This one doesn't actually save any time. It takes exactly as long as just doing the level regularly, but it looks a lot cooler and it's way more fun to do. Hopefully we get it quickly. It's good enough. I actually want to clip through the other wall. That's okay. So we're out of bounds. We have to be pretty careful because going back in bounds is really easy. It's just you go up against the wall and it might just shove you back in. You're kind of in the middle of a bunch of hallways there. And if you go near any of them or too close to any of them, then you'll pop back in bounds. And we don't want to be in bounds at all. So right here, we'd be careful. Very slowly edge our way up and flip onto the edge of the triangle so that we can stay above the ceiling of this room. And grab that statue from out of bounds. Now we head over this way because the this big pillar here, the altar's at the top of it. I need to move a little bit to the right here. Alright, and this is the only altar that is above us in the run, and it doesn't actually change the time it takes to transition to the next level. It's still 5 seconds. One is sewer level. There are actually no sewer levels. This is the only video game in existence with no sewer levels. And that right there was the final save warp of the game. So now for another very important bug in the game. It's called box jumping. I'll do my best to explain it. Oh, I messed it up there. So you stand on top of it, you jump, and you grab the box to pull it to you, and then you jump off of it again. The tricky part is that when you hold the box, it doesn't have a collision with you. So you have to click it once to pull it towards you and click again to let go of it so you can actually jump off of it. So I have to wait for this very noisy elevator. Yeah, this game is super chill. It's fantastic. Alright, so now we climb back up. I'm about to do another clip to skip a pretty lengthy segment of this. And oh, by the way, that box jumping we did saves like a minute and a half, something like that. This clip is a little tricky because there's a wall on the other side of this wall, and if we bump into the second wall, then we void out, and we don't want that. So we come down here. Perfect. Land in the water. Grab the statue. And when you're in water like this, it's faster to jump while you're walking. It's only relevant like 3 times in the run, I think, but it saves a little bit of time each time. And third statue. Nothing really special about this one. There's little bits here and there you can do to speed it up, but not very much. The problem is that it's the statue's in a container floating in the middle of a room, so if we go out of bounds, we can't actually get to it. We have to go back in bounds to get it. So, I'm gonna keep on climbing up here. Alright. Right above it now. It's possible that when you fall off the ceiling onto this, you can fall onto those blocks, and when you hit them, you're not allowed to stand on them, so they just crumble. And so you can land right on them and crush all 3 at once, but it's really difficult to get because it's hard to aim, and it only saves a little bit of time, so I don't really go for it. And here we are at the altar. That was a really good chapter 7, actually. Alright, in chapter 8, you're supposed to go an elevator in there, in the middle, but it's all the way up at the top and the statue's down below us, so let's just go down instead. This clip is a little tricky because there are gaps in the wall above us. Well, so these gaps here make it just harder that you're more likely to pop through there. Come on, let me through. Sometimes when you're clipping, if you quick save and quick load, it'll just pop you through the wall. And you don't have to sit here and jitter like this. No, this clip is disagreeing. This is one of the trickier clips in the game, but it's a lot of fun, so I do it no matter what. Come on, let me through. Oh man. And another thing that makes this tricky is that the platform below us is like directly below us. So if you go too far to either side, then you just end up voiding out and you're back up top. And since we didn't ride the elevator down, the elevator shaft is empty. So we'll just come over here. Instead of going around to the left there to go back up, we flip up like that. Because when you're not on a triangle, after about a second, I think, it tries to correct your gravity to whatever the default is. And so you can run over that hole and it flips you around. And related to that, whenever I go over a corner, you'll probably see me, well, it's hard to see, but you can see me crouch a little bit. That'll help kill my momentum so that I won't always go like flying over the corner. So I can get on the ground much faster and start sprinting again. Alright, that green stuff down there was acid, so hitting that switch drains all the acid from the level. I'll need that to get to that statue over there. But we'll come back for him later. We have some business elsewhere in the level first. Oh, this isn't good. I have to do an extra triangle. There we go. And gonna need to grab one crate from up here. Just throw it down there. We'll need it later. So one of the other runners of the game, Rainius, came up with a strat for this next statue. You're supposed to go on the bottom of this walkway and grab the statue that way, but if you line up just right here, you can back off of here very slowly and just grab the statue on your way down. And when you void out here, you end up back in here, which is right where we need to go. So it saves probably 40 seconds, I think. So I'm gonna do another box jump here. Normally, you would have had to grab multiple boxes, throw up above, and throw them down here and then stack them up. But you can do a quick box jump there to grab the statue. Now we are on our way again. That wasn't too bad, other than the first clip taking a bit longer than I'd like. This one went pretty well. On to chapter 9. Alright, now chapter 9 doesn't actually have any useful out of bounds because the level is basically just a gigantic cube, but everything is so packed densely that if you go out of bounds, it's really hard to avoid popping back in bounds on accident. So there hasn't really been any useful out of bounds found for this. And a lot of the time, doing inbound strats is faster. And this level is where they introduce these beams of light and the crystal receptacles. So you shine a beam of light into a crystal, and it acts as a switch to open up these doors. And that'll be a major thing in the rest of the levels. So I'm going to take the statue off this button and then wait about 8 seconds, because you can maybe hear it, but there's a wall moving. And I want to look at my timer to see how long 8 seconds is. So we'll just kind of go whenever. Now let's go with that. So yeah, I waited way too long. 8 seconds is about what you want to wait. And when you put the crate back on the button, it starts moving back up. When you take the statue off, it goes down. Time for water boxes. When I said earlier that boxes aren't your enemy, this is part of why. Because stacking boxes is harder than it should be. And doing it in the water just like doubles that. Because they're just bobbing around and misbehaving. Right there. Need to block all 3 of these light beams to open up this passage. And we need to activate the crystal that we just landed on, so that's all good. Now I need to be pretty careful here not to land in the acid. There we go. You can just barely get out on the edge of that platform to be able to make that triangle. Now, need to move some more crates. So unblock some light beams. Oh. And a very small thing is that when you're stacking these, you move out of the way of each beam individually to get this doors here to open faster. It's a very small thing. It saves less than a second. Oh. No, back out of here. Just need to climb our way out. And I'm actually going to redraw this. I have to jump off of it, and if it's at a weird angle, it can flip me off into the acid. That's no good, because the only autosave is before we got that second statue. So you really don't want to die here, because it takes a long time to redo all this. Oh, there's the last statue. I'm gonna play it safe here. You can make that jump across from the gate to the opening, but it's a very tight jump. It's very hard. So I just draw a triangle there to be safe. And the altar room's right here. We're on our way. Ugh. Chapter 10, we're going to pick up the third and final piece of the try. Oh, didn't get it. You can make this triangle fast enough to not have to loop around once. But I missed it there. That's okay, though. I need to block this off completely, because I'm going to be through here a second time. I don't want to fall through again. Do that. And climb up through here. So I hope y'all like waiting for cycles, because sometimes that happens, where as soon as it moves towards you, the lights change and the movie immediately moves away. And this is all acid, it's instant kill, so there's no way to save that. Luckily it auto-saves right before it. And secret block on the wall there. So in this part, I have to move basically as quickly as I can, because otherwise I'll have to wait for a cycle of the platforms. But it's not too bad. Timing isn't too tight on it. But you just don't want to be late. Need to make this jump and make this triangle as fast as you can, so that you can jump right to it. Otherwise you have to wait for the platforms to move. Alright. We're almost done with the acid. Need to put those triangles there to catch us, because we're gonna just jump in this hole and fall down. Luckily, jumping through the little holes in the walls is actually pretty generous for how close you can get to them and still pull yourself up. So those jumps look a lot worse than they actually are. Now, this next puzzle, you have to block and unblock these light beams, get through here. In this section, there are two gates that we want to get by. An easy way to do this is to go on the ceiling. It is technically possible to get through them by running on the ground, but I've never actually done it. And the other runner of the game, Fligelstan, he's only ever done it once. So I just don't even bother trying. It's ludicrously hard. Oh, we need this crystal. It's technically possible to skip this crystal, but we have to come this way anyway to get a statue. So we may as well just grab it and do this the easy way. Otherwise we'd have to do a clip that can be pretty finicky. Right now we throw the crystal, grab the statue, stomp on the crystal, and then grab it again. Because the crystal falls a lot slower than we do. So by stomping on it, it shoves it down further. So it'll get down that shaft faster. Here's the second piece of the try. Now, those light beams that were introduced in the last level, we can now reflect them off of our triangles, like this. Oh, there it is. Actually need to move that one that way, I think. Oh, there we go. So for a lot of the reflections in this game, I've tried to come up with ways to kind of route out where the triangle placements need to be. But it is... the placement of them is a little bit inaccurate, just because of how the game is. So it's a little bit difficult to get it the same every time. And for a lot of levels, you have to reflect them like multiple times in a row. And so each of them being just a little bit off can kind of have like a domino effect, and you'll end up way different from what you need it to be. So at the start of this level, you're supposed to do a whole lot of reflecting to like introduce you to the mechanic. But instead, we're going to try and clip upwards through these bars. Oh, almost had it. This is the only time in the run that we're going to be clipping upwards. Every other time, it'll be through a wall to the side. There we go. Here's one of these gold bonus statues. I'll grab him while we're here. Now, you need to block, place a triangle there to block a red laser. Red lasers will kill us if they touch us for too long, so you need to block that one so we don't die later. And now, this puzzle over here, it takes forever, so we're just not going to do it. Instead, we're going to go to the gate where the puzzle ends, and we're just going to do what's called a layer clip. Basically, I'm going to trap myself in one triangle and then just progressively make more and more triangles. And what's happening is that every triangle has a little bit of thickness to it, so they very slowly push us through the gate like that. And then there's the statue. Normally you have to bounce a red laser beam around to destroy a bunch of crates, and it just takes forever. And we void out, respawn back here. It's a part of the level we've never seen before. Now we're going to climb along this wall to get to the second puzzle. And we're actually going to solve this puzzle, but we're going to do it a little bit of an unintentional way. There'll be a crystal rotating around on a pedestal. And we need to reflect a light beam around to hit that crystal enough times to open up a door. Because the door slides open instead of just opening all the way immediately. So if we do this triangle just right, like that, and that should hit the triangle enough to open the gate. Oh, I don't think it's going to, actually. I think I need to redo that one. So, shoutouts to a random guy on YouTube named Steve, because he messaged me one day and was like, hey, you know you can do this in one reflection. I had no idea that it was possible. So, shoutouts to a random dude who doesn't even do speedruns on finding speed strats. And now, I don't know if this is how you're supposed to do this, but this is the easiest way I found to get across to where the next statue is. Alright. Easy jump. It's one of those jumps that looks worse than it actually is. Alright, and then final room. You're supposed to go around to the back of this, and you have to, work around all these lasers and all the acid. But instead, we're going to place a bunch of triangles here to hold us in place, and we're just going to clip through this glass. It's possible to get through here on one triangle. See if we got it. Nope, need to do a second one. That's fine. It's not that bad. Well, there we go. So luckily, in this game you don't have hands. You just grab everything with your teeth. So we just need to stick our face through that glass. So we don't need to clip all the way through. We just shove our face through the glass and then grab it with our mouth. To place that crate right above that switch. So we can come over here, drop it on there, and get through that doorway, because it closes when the crate is on the button too long. That's chapter 11. That's a really fun chapter to do. And chapter 12 is even more fun. It is the best chapter in the game, because the devs are really nice and put the altar and all three statues right at the start of the level. Now, if you do this the intended way, this level is about 12 minutes long, but it'll take us about 1 to 2 to get this clip right. So there are these big yellow barriers in front of all the statues, and like I mentioned before, we can't clip through those, but we can just clip around them. There's a different strat where you clip around each barrier individually, but instead, oh, that's not what I need. I'm going to clip out of bounds here. Hopefully it'll behave. It's not behaving. I'm going to redraw this one. Basically, I'm going to go out of bounds and then hit all three switches to lower the barriers from out of bounds. Okay, here we go. This is good. So I'm going to very carefully drop on top of this barrier. Uh-oh. Oh no. Right. Okay, we're good. Then go out of bounds over here. Oh. Alright, there's the first switch. Then we drop on top of this barrier. Very carefully move over here. And staying out of bounds, we're going to hit the second switch to lower another barrier. Grab a statue, and the third switch is right there. So, like I said, this level usually takes 12.5 minutes or so, and it's basically an auto-scroller. But we're done. It was like 1.5 minutes or something. It was a very good chapter 12. Yeah, 1:19 in game time. It's very good. Now, chapter 13 is after the most exciting chapter. This is now the most boring chapter, since it's all a lot of very open areas. there's not really anything you can do to speed it up. You just kind of have to play it as efficiently as possible. So there's a little bit of speed to it, but not too much. It's mostly just going to be platforming. And so the last level was supposed to introduce what are called kami. And see them bouncing around over here? That's what these are. These things are kami. You want to bounce them around and get them into a receptacle like that. And you need 4 of them to bounce in to activate it. So we have to sit here and wait for a couple to bounce in. Gonna wait for one more. Get rid of that, so that activates, those move up, and then this gate closes. So we have to wait for it to deactivate now. That the gate will open and let us through. The first statue is down here. And we can just void out here. There's also a teleporter underneath that slab we land on. But there's like no time difference between voiding out or grabbing the, using the teleporter. So it's just easier to void out. Now we put the triangle back to activate it again. I'll move the wooden stairs back up. We can get to the next section. It's just going to be... We move this jar out of the way so we can jump like this. It's possible to jump onto the top layer of this cube, but it's a very tight jump. Oh, no, I'm doing this wrong. Just recently I've realized you can just draw a triangle straight up like that, so I'm still getting used to doing that in runs. I used to have to climb up onto every ledge like that. But now I have to come over here onto these crates and just move them around a bunch. And the crates, I'm going to need one crate later on. And the way you make crates spawn is by scattering that big pile of them over there. So hopefully by the time we grab this next statue, a crate will have spawned somewhere nearby. How many triangles am I making this speedrun? Well, it's funny you should ask, because at the end of the game, it actually keeps track of that stat. So I will have an answer for you at the end of the run. I think... actually, I have no idea. I want to say it's like 150 or so in an average run. So now, I need to delete that, and then fall down here. I messed it up. I have to sit here and wait now. So I'm going to delete this triangle, and then run down here. Should be enough. Just walk off the ledge, and grab onto this. You have to grab the statue, and then back off. Oh, we're harmed. Oh, we're harmed. Don't worry. Triangles, they're into it. It's okay. They're consenting triangles. They weren't harmed. So now, oh good, a crate spawned. So that thing I did before with jumping off after I grabbed the statue, if you go too close to the statue, then you'll respawn down where the statue was. So it's okay. You can jump off. If you don't get too close to the statue, you can jump off, and then you'll respawn back up top, and it saves about like 20 seconds. By the way, there are invisible pathways in this level. I think it's the only level with any significant amount of invisible terrain. Alright, now to get to the third statue, I'm going to cheat a little bit here. We need to... Normally there's an invisible wall around this pillar that you would walk on. But instead we're going to duck and be underneath the invisible wall. So we can be directly on this pillar. And it just makes this climbing up here just a lot easier. Easier and safer. So the one problem with the crates from earlier is that up here is a spawn point for them, and if a crate spawns while I'm standing there, it will just eject me off to the side and shoot me way far away. Oh, jump off. Alright. There we go. Oh no, this is the most frustrating part, is trying to climb around edges like this, 9-degree corners. It's just very finicky sometimes, but we got it. Alright, so, we need a crystal, we throw it down there. There's a receptacle down there, I promise. Hopefully it actually lands in it. Now we make a triangle here. So, like I said earlier, I have setups to get a lot of these reflections, hopefully quickly. I think that'll work. It'll be just at the top of it. Oh, actually, that might be off to the side. I might have to redo that. And oh no, it's not good. See, it activated there for a second as the crystal was moving into place. But that's okay. The crystal being in place now actually makes this a lot easier. There we go. That's what we need. Yeah. Oh, and place it 3 over and 4 up. Oh man, this is reflecting really weird. Oh, I fell off. Need to move this one to me a little bit. There we go. Luckily, in this section you can hear the gates moving. So there's an audio cue, so you don't have to be constantly looking at the crystal to see if it activates. And you can technically clip through the 3 gates there, but if you get the reflection fast enough, then clipping is actually slower. And like I mentioned before, the crates spawn right here. This is another point where they'll spawn and just knock us off if they want. But we got out of there just fine. But I fell. That's okay. I jumped a little bit too early. That's fine. Now the best soundtrack or track in the game, where they're weird German rapping about friendship. It's good stuff. Alright. That was chapter 14. There's only 17 chapters total, but these last couple ones are pretty long. This one used to be about 20 minutes, but then we figured out how to clip, and it made it significantly shorter. I think it's about 8 minutes now. And right here is where we found the first clip in the game. So, should be able to get it first try, easy. Just go like that. That's called a tilt clip, where you, after you trap yourself, you place a triangle directly under your feet, and then just angle it backwards, and it'll just shove you through the wall. Well, doing that clip saves, I think, like 1.5 or 2 minutes, something like that. That's the L teleportation cube. More on that later. We just need to throw it down to where we'll actually use it. So, another clip over here. This one is a much bigger time save than the first clip. Because normally you have to, the little kami fly around, you have to bounce them around this big long hallway, and it's really frustrating. It just takes forever. But we can clip through that wall and skip all of it. Hey, the statue. You need to have someone hold down the switch to hold the door open. So yeah, there's some pottery down here, but I don't know, it looks like it might roll around a bit, so I want to just make sure it's not gonna fall off. And, oh, surprise, there's an eyeball monster inside. Hopefully the eyeball monster doesn't move off the switch. It's trying to, but nope, we got out of there. Alright, so about that yellow box I threw down here before, it's called the yellow teleportation cube. And there's a yellow portal that when we run through, we switch places with the cube. So we're going to throw it down to this floating island down here and get it through that gateway. And we cannot pass through that gateway, but the boxes can. So we throw it down there and it goes through, and then we use the portal to go through the gateway to get through down there. But first, before we do that, it is time for maybe the hardest intentional puzzle in the game. This is called Laser Hallway, and it can either take 2 minutes or it can take 10 minutes. It's a massive pain, but luckily I practiced it a lot. So I have to take this laser, come up, bounce it up here, and hit all 3 of these crystals. And then I have to bounce it back down to where it started and hit a 4th crystal. It is one of the 2 hardest reflection puzzles in the entire game. Like, as a speedrun or as just casually. Okay, it's going well so far. Oh! One part that makes this so hard is that the laser will kill you. It's a red laser instead of a white one. So if you stand in it too long, it'll kill you. So I'm going to be quick saving a whole lot here. I am not totally sure how to deal with the laser being like this, actually. That works. Alright. Laser hallway is something that is difficult to try and route out because you have to do so many reflections. Whoa. I'll call that good enough. let's see here. I do it. This. Yeah, playing this game, it really helps if you are good at like geometry and a lot of spatial thinking. That's almost there. Close. Thing is, I don't want to get too close to the laser in case it zaps me and tries to kill me. Man. Why is laser hallway got to be like this? So, this is actually a bad reflection, because now when the laser goes through the crystal, it was hitting the pedestal when it came out the other side. Well, oh, no, that's a bad save. Okay. I made a bad save as I was standing in the laser. Okay, we're almost done though. The hard part's done. Oh, I almost died again. 3 times. Okay, perfect. It's a great place for it to be. So, like I was saying before, this is really hard to get like a consistent setup for, so you just kind of have to be good at it. And that's one of the things that makes this a fun run, is that you don't just need to know how to break the game, you need to know how to play it like super good. Oh, come on. Almost there. Well, that's too far. There we go. Okay, laser hallway's done. I need to quick save again. And then the final part that is hard about laser hallway is that I now have to run back through with the hallway to be able to get to the portal. And I'm just going to draw my own pathway up. So this is why it's important to be good at laser hallway, is that you have as few things in the way as possible and not a mess like this. Because it's very easy to die if it's bounced around too much. There are other ways to get back up to the portal, but running through there is the fastest. Alright, and now... technically you can skip this puzzle, but it's super fast and easy to do, so I just don't bother. The clip is hard, and this isn't, so... Need to bounce this laser down here to destroy these red boxes. Perfect. Oh. There we go. Now we're going to climb back up. Just need to do a little bit of box stacking here. Alright. That went well. So, hypothetically, there's a way to skip all of this. By taking a box from somewhere else in the level and box jumping all the way up here. It is hypothetically possible, but I've never actually done it myself. I've only gotten about 2/3 of the way up, because box jumping long distances is really, really hard. But if it were possible to do, it would save like a minute or 2. That's prisons. So, on to space. This is a new strat that I found just literally yesterday while doing a practice run. You used to have to put that box on that switch, but instead we're just going to clip out and void out. Goodbye. There's the rest of the level. And it places you just past the gateway that switch opens. It saves like 3 or 4 seconds to do that. So, this level used to be really long and hard, but as we found more ways to clip, it eliminated some of the more difficult parts. Which this used to be one of them. There'd be a new mechanic introduced right here for the a large like platform laser. So this thing, the light beam, they can bounce just like any other, but you can actually walk on it. And there's supposed to be a part where you bounce this around a bunch and like climb up to a ceiling. It takes forever and it's frustrating to do. But that's the last we're going to use that for. So we're just going to be on our way. Goodbye, giant laser. It's never used again in the game, so it's the last we'll ever see of it. Instead of doing that, because you usually use it to climb up here. But, oh, I fell off. So instead, climb up like this. There's a statue floating in the middle of the room, so we need to go grab that before we leave. luckily, there is this darker block here. You line up with it just right. When you jump off to flip around, bam, you land right where the statue is. Very convenient. Now for another pretty tricky clip. Since we're clipping against a triangle that we made, we did not clip through that one. We need to clip through the wall behind us. But it's a lot easier to clip through a triangle. So, yep, it spin me out the other side. That's okay though. Now since there are triangles on that other side, should make it more likely that we'll go through the wall. Oh, try that again. Oh, this is new. There we go. Now we void out here, and since this is a totally separate area that you're not supposed to be able to void out in, the game gets confused and doesn't know where to put you. So it sends you back to the start. And that clipping strategy that we did earlier, we're just gonna do it again. Oh. Oh, there we go. I made art. Alright, and on our way. That's the first statue out of the way. The next two are quite a bit easier than that one to get. So, this next one, this one's not particularly interesting. The biggest challenge here is to get through this big tunnel here. Oh no. And this is why. I messed up that first platform, and now the gravity is all kinds of confused. I have to make one midair. Normally I wouldn't have done that, and would have hopefully stayed on platforms the entire way down. But that was okay. Yeah, so normally you can't, if you're standing in a triangle, it won't solidify. But when you quick save and quick load, it solidifies the triangle. And that way it'll shove you out of the way or whatever. And this room, our gravity is going outwards, everything else is downwards, so we just drop a box on the statue to get it to where we can grab it. But yeah, you're right. That's why I'm doing all the quick saving, quick loading. And so this next section is called Ghost Cubes, and if one of the ghost cubes hits a triangle, it deletes the triangle. So we need to be careful about platforming up this structure. We have to just be timing it right, going up from one section to the next. And also, it's very easy to go over the corners of these too quickly, and then just go flying off into the void, and the only autosave is at the bottom. So I'll be quick saving a lot throughout here, just in case I fall off. Hopefully I won't, though. Alright. There's 2 more levels. I'm gonna wait for the cube to go by. Alright, last one. There we go. The rest of this section is just a little bit of platforming. It's not too bad. It's funny that there's still these ghost cubes floating around out here, but like you don't need to build a single triangle to get through it, so it's fine. Drop down and grab the statue on our way out. I was almost too far away to grab it. Whoops. And now the final part of the level. The altar is surrounded on all sides by the yellow barriers that we can't clip through, so we have to do this puzzle no matter what. And it used to be really hard, but I found a pretty consistent setup. Basically, we need to take this one kami source and bounce it in such a way that it'll split into 2 and hit 2 receptacles. First, we need to bounce it up top. And, oh, I don't want to solidify that yet. Okay, that's actually perfect. So, bounce just right. Move it like this. A little bit more. Need to get around that post. Wait, nope, that's not what I wanted. Alright, that's good. So, alright, it's hitting that receptacle. It's close enough. Luckily, the game is pretty generous with bouncing them into the receptacles. They have pretty big hitboxes. So you activate one. Hey, look at that. If you do it fast enough, then both of them will be activated. without having to wait for a more common to bounce through. Like I said, this altar is normally surrounded on all sides by yellow barriers, so that's why we have to do that. Alright, so final level. This has a long fade in, so I'm going to do a clip here. I have to wait for that extra fade in time though. So I clip out right at the start. Come on. Doesn't want to cooperate with me. So if you clip out at the start and then void out, it'll actually place you at the end because you're not supposed to be able to void out anywhere except at the very end. Oh man. Come on game, don't do this to me now. Alright, we go out. There's the level. We're not going to see any of that stuff. We're just going over there. Now this is the final puzzle of the game. So, there's going to be a fox in this room, a red fox, and then there's going to be a red laser. If it sees the red laser, it won't move. But we need to hit the fox with the laser. So we need to hide the laser long enough for it to move into place. So what we're going to do, bounce the laser down here, and place a triangle next to it. Luckily, the fox hates triangles and wants to destroy them. So it's going to walk towards that one on the ground. And when it goes to destroy it, it'll break all of these. And then use one to block the laser so it'll actually move. So it's going to go after that one, break it, it'll break all those triangles. And then the laser will come down and zap it. Like that. And we get a little disco effect on this hallway. Now, one last little thing to do. Just talk to him. And he needs to walk over there to the altar, because that's where the portal is, to get to the end. But he can't cross these gaps on his own, so we need to build bridges for him. Alright. And the problem is, he walks pretty slowly, so even though we built all these bridges, he's taking his sweet time. He's not even did the first one. Oh, so what we're going to do is called bully strats. We just run into his back and it pushes him forward. Alright. And doing this, if you get good pushes, it saves about 10 seconds. But he's very slippery and you slide off a lot. So it's hard to get good pushes on him. Yeah, that was alright. And the fun fact, if you delete these triangles out from under him, he just falls and voids out, but then you get a game over screen. It's the only time that the game just fades black and tells you to load a save. Alright, a little bit more. Need him on one button, I can get on the other. Push him. Alright. And there's the portal. Alright, in the epilogue, there's one speed trick here. Let's see if I get it. Alright, got it. Nailed it. Climb up to the first railing and then jump onto the second one. It saves like 1/10 of a second. Now, time's coming up in like a minute. So it'll, when the stat screen pops up at the end is when it'll end. It's when we stop time. Yeah, this has been Try, A Friendship in Madness. It's a fantastic speed game. I really love it. It's a ton of fun to run. So, as it turns out, the monk that talked to us occasionally, he's actually the blue fox. You never learned about him because we skipped the cutscenes. But, look at that. Oh, what's it gonna do? Oh, he's the blue fox. But yeah, thanks for watching. And stay tuned into Valuethon for more awesome speedruns. And time. So that was a pretty good run. 52:01 in game time is nice. Yeah. Thanks for watching. That's been Try. Yep, that's all. I'm done.